make sure I've got the chat up as well. So hopefully everyone can see my screen. Welcome to the HubSpot Product Webinar.
And can you imagine if it was a bit?
Today, your hosts are myself, Jem. I'm Head of Expert Practices here at BabelQuest, and Chris, do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Chris. Nice to meet you all, and hopefully we can give you some excitement about new things in the product.
Yes, Chris and I get very excited about product updates, so you can expect us just getting a little bit nerdy and a little bit excited about all of this. So first up, certification tracking. So this one we kind of put separate. We are going to do things in categories today. We're going to go from CRM platforms, so stuff that touches everything, through to the Sales Hub, Marketing Hub, then Service Hub, and then apps. So if you're only interested in CRM and sales, you can jump off after that. If you want to stick around for the rest, you can. This one is slightly different because it's more around kind of personal development, onboarding in the system. So I am actually going to demo this one, but basically I've sort of shaken up their certification tracking so that you can see what's going on with your team a bit better. If I just dive into here.
What's the leaderboard looking like there?
Sorry about that. Can't stop hay fever. Yeah, so this is our test portal. So you can kind of ignore what's going on in here, but this is basically giving you a really good overview of all certifications in your team, how many active, any expiring soon, expired, in progress certifications. You can actually see the certifications by topic and how many have got each one. So you can start spotting gaps. So it has everyone got inbound marketing, but no one's got sales. Do you need to get someone to be a bit more up in that area? And then you can dig into specific people and recently done certifications. I wanted to kind of flag this because I think it's a really useful tool for onboarding. If you've got specific team members who you want to see how they're getting on with those initial certifications, great way to get to know HubSpot. So yeah, wanted to dive into this, and probably worth jumping into it maybe once a quarter, once a month, to see how the team are progressing and if they're keeping up with their certifications. So that is the first one.
I get that.
We're then going to go into CRM platform. So the first, I've got a few things to talk about with workflows. So workflows are changing a lot at the moment. I don't know how many of you, drop in the chat as we go, how many of you are kind of using it in the new format. So you can now you now define workflows a little bit differently at the beginning, which makes them a bit more universal. You don't have to select contact, deal, company at the beginning. You now select what you want to achieve, which is actually a little bit more streamlined. But moving on from that, there's now a lot more AI power in workflows as well. So I just wanted to touch on a few of those today. So a couple of things I'm going to talk about: AI recommended actions in workflows, and then adding work actions to your workflows through a conversation with Breeze. So I'm not going to demo these ones. I'm going to demo another couple of workflow ones in a minute. One thing that Chris and I wanted to flag on recommended is that just because you can doesn't mean you should. And actually, Chris, I think you flagged yesterday, didn't you, that you can actually turn this one off?
I had to work out how to turn it off because it was driving me up the wall. But I think it's really good if you're still learning about HubSpot, but if you know what you're doing, it's quite maddening.
Yes, so basically, if you're building out a workflow and you click the plus icon to say add a next action, it will basically say other people have sent a notification at this stage, or other people have added a branch. And really, you should know what you want to achieve from a workflow. And I think the thing is, you're going to know that more than the AI is going to guess that. So it might work sometimes, but most of the time it's probably better thinking for yourself in that scenario. So this is one of those updates where we say, this is new, but maybe don't use it. We're not sure on that one. The one we do like is adding actions through a conversation with Breeze Copilot. So you can see the example here. You can actually say, I want to send 3 emails with a day in between each send. Something like that would usually take you a good few minutes to build out, sending the email, add a delay, send the email, add a delay. Just writing that small sentence, they can create that and you can add it in. So I think that's great, and they can kind of create those initial first emails as well, so it saves you a huge amount of heavy lifting. So this one I definitely would recommend taking a look at. So that's, yeah, adding actions to workflows through a conversation with Copilot. How many of you, just out of interest, have used Copilot? I've dropped that in the chat. Is something that's across the platform. Chris? I use it almost every day for various bits and pieces. It's getting better, I think, every week. I haven't used it in a workflow yet, but like the idea of that. What was that? Okay, the next one I'm going to touch on, again, more workflow stuff. There's a few workflow updates today. So this one, Breeze Summarize Record workflow action. And I'm going to talk about 2 updates here and then demo them because they're very nicely kind of aligned. So this one is basically, you may have spotted, if you've got AI summaries turned on, you'll have spotted at the top of records, contact record deals, you can now have a summary, and it will basically tell you everything that's happened against that record. Like, this conversation started back in 2020. There have been 10 meetings since. Some of the themes are XYZ. The person's just waiting on Chris to get back to them about a workflow, something like that. You can now actually send these summaries to people. So I really like that. One that kind of links to the next update is doing manual enrollment, summarizing the record and then sending it to the deal owner. And the reason that dovetails with the next one is that these are kind of quick buttons that can appear in your records. So you can now enroll records in workflows from a CRM card. So over on the side here, and I'll demo it in a sec, you can see buttons. And if you click that, it will enroll them in that workflow with a manual enrollment and send the summary. So if I just jump into HubSpot, I'm going to show you Bob, which is in our test portal. Over on the side here, you can see a few super sales shortcuts. You can rename this area whatever you want to. We've also got set as non-marketing. So say I wanted to turn a non-marketing contact because of various reasons, I can just click this button and it will enroll them. Or I could summarize for the boss or summarize for someone else. And if I click this button, it's going to tell me when they last enrolled. That's all I'm going to have to do. It successfully enrolled them. If we look in that into the actual workflow that enrolled, just to show you how that works on the back end, this is a manually triggered workflow. Then it basically summarizes the record of the enrolled contract. And then we've also done an Ask Breeze in there that basically says, I want to categorize companies into business type. The responses should be one of the following business type categories: manufacturer, importer, designer. So as well as the summary, we're also saying, right, tell me business type. And then we're doing a record summary, which shows the object summary and the response from that Ask Breeze. So it's going to send them, send Eddie a notification that says the summary and the business type. So really nice way of, that's literally for day to day, that's just a click on the record. So there might have been a reason for that. There might have been a complaint. They've maybe asked for a summary of that record, and all you've had to do is click a button and all of this action has just happened. So you could equally turn that into like send a Slack message, send a Teams message, do an internal summary. Chris, I know you're loving these super sales shortcuts as well at the moment. Have you got any other kind of use cases that you've used? I know some of these.
Interestingly, I mean, that's kind of what we've got to so far. It's basically thinking about, we kind of get stuck in this thinking of, yeah, why would we do that? It's easy or whatever, but it kind of makes it magic for people, and the whole AI thing and drawing people in, we want to make people think there's a magic do this button, and that's a really nice way of doing that. So thinking about things that people whinge about that you can take away, and almost a bit of showmanship there, just add the button.
Yeah, it does definitely seem that bit more magic, doesn't it? I think even like qualify, previously we might have had a property that you selected qualify, and then you knew that made a workflow. But I think just the fact it's a button that is qualifying, creating a deal, then you know the action happens off the back of it. It just seems a little bit more polished, a bit more kind of a enterprise type feature, isn't it? It's a bit more corporate kind of feel to it. So yes, that's a really great little example of that in action. let's jump to the next one. Next one, I'm just going to kind of touch on this one. So another workflow one, you can manage workflow metrics in workflow settings. To be honest, I've noticed over the last couple of months, they've been changing where workflow settings sit. These used to be in a settings tab at the top of the workflow, and now they're kind of in drop downs off the edge of workflows. But actually now it's much easier to review those workflows once you're about to turn it on. You can run through all these steps. So step 1, enrollment, you can then make sure you're setting it to run at specific times. So earlier I was having a conversation with a colleague where he wanted to run a workflow nurture sequence only Tuesday to Thursday between business hours. So you can set that up in there. You can also set it so you get notifications when something needs a review, or if there's a threshold that's been hit. So for example, if you've got an event sign up or a webinar, you can have a notification to take that down once you've hit registrations or open up a wait list. So yeah, really like that now when you're about to turn it on, you can actually just set all of that up. Let me check this. I feel like I've had loads, Chris. We'll give you it over in a minute. The next one to go through is data enrichment. So this is a Breeze feature. So I don't know how many of you are using Breeze. Just throw that into the chat if you are. This is a growing tool. Lots more development around this, in that your credits can now be used for more. As they've actually now become HubSpot credits as of 2 days ago, and they've updated and made better the enrichment settings, basically. So previously you could set up rules so that your enrichment would be running in the back end, but they've actually improved this slightly. So let me just dive into up here. So for this, I have to go into our actual portal, but you can't see anything specific in there. So settings, the one that I wanted to call out is this one. So pause automatic enrichment at the monthly credit limit. This wasn't there before, and quite frankly, it was terrifying that it wasn't there before. The way you buy Breeze credits is to buy, say, 100, 1,000 a month. And if you go over that, you basically up your record limit. So you would roll from 100 to 1,000. You wouldn't be able to go back down. This option, if you've got this on, basically pauses it. So as long as you're happy for enrichment to stop happening at a certain point in the month, this just gives you that nice safety buffer. So you're not going to be paying for extra credits. And you can just have a bit more control over what you're doing there. So you can tick on these boxes. You've also got a few different tabs. So tools, what you're using the tools for. Yeah, so just a bit, it's become a bit more granular, basically. So really like that update. And you've obviously got your monthly credit balance at the top here. So we're at the beginning of the month, so this is very few used. The last one I have got today is around smart properties. So on a similar line, this is again credits related, but we're going to here. So the third tab, smart properties. This is one that I find really exciting. I don't know about you, Chris, but this has got so much opportunity in it. You've kind of just got to get your head around it. Like with much of AI, a lot of the learning curve there is learning how to write a prompt. I think that's the biggest thing that's kind of tricky, is what to ask AI to get the result that you actually want. So smart properties essentially allow you to tell Breeze what to collect from other sources. So obviously it's got its standard properties that it enriches, but you can basically add to that. So I've got an idea here for one that's saying, does this company use HubSpot? I'm making it a single checkbox, and then my prompt is literally going to be, does this company use HubSpot? And I can choose where the data comes from. So web research, company, property data. So you could summarize data, combine data through properties. You could look at their website, perhaps for marketing information, etc. But here, web research is quite useful for this sort of one, because it can do research for any articles been published, any case studies out there. And I can then choose. So if I choose Babel Quest, it will wear away as a test and tell me if we've got HubSpot. I did test this before, so yes. And then I can save the prompt create the smart property, and that's now in there. So that's now another property that's being collected. So against every company, I'll have, do they use HubSpot? Other examples are, do they have a podcast? How many employees do they have? Obviously, employees, HubSpot is already collecting. So this is more outside the box, maybe niche things for your industry, that kind of thing. Are they currently running any job ads for CRM consultants? Might be one that we would want to run. So yeah, great option there. And then the last thing before I hand over to Chris for a few updates, because I'm sure you're all bored of my voice, is the just settings for data enrichment. So this is something I always come back to. Don't just let everyone do everything in your portal, because things can get in a mess. Really recommend just making sure that your user permissions are tied down. So on here, just make note of the fact that under CRM tools, you have got this option to turn off enrich records. Obviously, I showed you the settings, which is the more automated ways of enriching. This one is the manual. So if I would limit it to only a few people who can do manual enrichment. So otherwise you're going to use your records up, basically. And this can't be paused at when you go over the credits. So the people who have this permission should be people who are paying attention to the credit limit. So yeah, mostly off. Just let a few people, maybe super admins, have it on, maybe a sales director, etc., and work that into your process. I think then, Chris, I can hand over to you if I stop sharing my screen.
May I have the share back?
There you
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, slight technical. Aha, here we go.
Should be there now.
Right, we now have a touch screen. Good Lord. Here we go. But Jem, can I also get you to mute yourself so that I don't hear myself echoing? Because you lot should have to hear me, but I don't like doing that. So can we see my screen?
We can see your notes, Chris, but not your screen.
Oh, I've shared the wrong thing. Why is webinar different from
normal Zoom?
for some reason it won't give me the option to share for that. You see HubSpot MCP
Yes,
server.
all good.
Right. So we go with this one. This is probably a little bit nerdy. And if anyone is interested in this sort of thing, we can then give me a shout. The HubSpot MCP server, basically it's model context protocol. What it allows us to do is connect our HubSpot portal to an AI. So you'll see in this example, I'm not going to show you an actual example because I don't have the paid version of Claude, which means I always get to the point where the message length is too long. But this is Claude Desktop, you can see in this picture. And I've asked, is British Airways in the HubSpot portal? You can see it's getting the user details. So I've used various keys to allow it access. It's searched in our companies, it's searched for the extra stuff, and it's not found it. The next prompt I can do is create the record and enrich it. So there are other ways to do potentially to do enrichment. A little bit geeky, a little bit nerdy, but it's quite interesting that we can now connect HubSpot to other systems, and we can use AI to investigate what's going on in our HubSpot portal. So, put it in the chat pane if you're excited about that, and we could do essentially a separate session. Now we'll just take a look at some of the more, I'll say, mundane after that, but the automation overview and connected apps, they're both new areas, and I can immediately tell it how I feel about it. But within workflows, we've got this new overview. It's a beta, so you have to switch it on. But it's giving us an idea about, so you can see it says 22 automations need review. I can ask it to help me automate, and then we've got some recommendations as well. 31 clicks on this email aren't automated, blah blah blah. So it's actually telling us things that we should be looking out for. Nice way to keep tabs on everything. And in exactly the same way, we've now got the connected apps. And this, when we ask people, one of the frustrations we tend to see is that they'll audit their portal and they'll find there are 77, in this case, 59. This is the test portal, but there are 59 apps connected. Probably, we don't know what they will do. So we now have this overview. We can see what's installed. We can see what's needed. We can see any updates. And they've also quite nicely put the Academy in here, and some suggested apps as well. And the other thing to point out is that we can create notifications. You could do this before, but we've got new notification types. So it used to be you'd just get an app disconnect. Now, if somebody installs an app, so if your permissions aren't locked down and maybe a rogue member of the sales team installs something, then you can be informed about that. So nice little update.
I think, Chris, it's worth mentioning as well, like some of these things can sort of slip your mind if you're not looking at them daily. So you could bookmark them. I think also a really good thing, particularly for the automation overview, it sits in the main navigation, so you can actually bookmark it. So I think it's worth just reminding you that you can bookmark certain tools in HubSpot, which means they appear in the top navigation. I don't know if you can just show that, Chris. Yeah. So if you hover over it, you can then just click the bookmark and it adds them to the top bookmark area. So you can only have 10, but if that's one of the things you're going to regularly, really recommend putting it there, because sometimes, I don't know about anyone else, you can come to going through the navigation and it just seems a lot. So something like that, if you're going there regularly, I would bookmark it.
Your nearest emergency exit is to be found near your seat, and we'll be pointing it out. Hopefully everybody could see we were bookmarking there. The next thing we've got for you is activity logging defaults. So one of the things that we'll tend to see is that some people will log emails to either maybe just the one person, or they'll log, if you've got a complex system of custom objects, contracts, contacts, companies, deals, we send an email, it can get logged to all of them. In this case, we can now actually decide what we want to log, and you can see here it's a company, a contact, it's logging this email to all the deals, and that can clutter up your system, especially if people are looking for information. So you've got the ability to have a little bit more control over that. Next one is data quality insights. So you can access this from the data quality command center. So if we were to go into our contacts and data quality, and then we can go down to our property insights. Why this is good, it gives you an idea about what's actually going on in your portal. Again, something I've been seeing a lot of lately is that we're handing forms over to somebody and they're creating forms, and instead of changing the question and attaching a question to a property or a field, they're creating a new property each time. So we're getting portals where we're saying first name dot, first name, what is your first name? And these are all separate properties, which tend to cause a level of chaos. So we can now start to look in here and we can see it's flagging. We've got job title as a duplicate property. It's filled in a lot and it's used in various places. So the ability to see these duplicate properties is really, really nice, really powerful, really useful. So have a look at that one. Conscious of time, we are now talking about the redesigned CRM pages. So HubSpot are constantly working on sort of slightly updating little fiddles, and some of these things are really nice. So it doesn't look overly different, but we've got some nice little features here. So we've got, nice little features and one massive red flag, which you should all be aware of and go and sort out. We've got the ability to freeze columns, add columns directly from here, and remove columns, so we can edit this view. And if I click add column, I'm just going to highlight this for all of you, that there is this, which in my mind is a horrible thing to add, which is that you can create new properties directly from this interface. Not only that, we can create new properties without putting them in a group or any sort of particular thought. So the reason I'm highlighting this is that you probably want to go to your permissions and just lock everyone down so they can't create properties, because, you know, if everybody does that and creates a property, then you're going to have a bit of a mess. But beyond that, it's actually really nice, and people have got a much better overview of what's going on. And obviously there's the board view, which was introduced recently as well, which is technically not this month's updates, but I've actually found talking clients through the board view is really helpful when we're trying to sort out life cycle stages. So if you want to review life cycle stages, have a look at your board view. And probably if you see that you've got people that start off at contact or lead, nobody in MQL, nobody in SQL, and then you've just got lots of opportunities and customers, then your portal's set to the default settings, and it's probably worth a bit of a review. The next one is that we can now create multi-select user properties. So if we just go into properties here, I want to create a property, project, let's say project team. Now, previously with HubSpot owner fields, we were restricted to a single person. Now, you'll see here, it's not just one user, we can make it a multi-checkbox. So if we do want to build out a team or something like that, then we've got that ability. It's one of those ones where use your judgment, think about your process, think about what you're trying to achieve, and work out whether it's going to be useful or not.
I think particularly combined with like permissions and visibility, that can be really useful, because often you've got collaborators on like a contact or multiple salespeople involved, and it can cause problems. So I think having one property with everyone is great.
Am I handing this back to you now?
You are, yes.
Right, there you go. Have some share.
Okay. We are going to dive into sales. No problem if you got to run off, Henry. We will send the recording. Let me dive into this. I'm going to dive into marketing and video. So I have I had lots of workflow updates. I have got lots of video ones. So I'm just going to summarize them and then jump into HubSpot to actually look at them. Firstly, just making it much easier to edit video in HubSpot, and I had to play around with this yesterday, and it the change from a few years ago is huge. It used to just be you'd have a video, you'd maybe be able to choose what the cover image was, and that was about it. But now there's so much more in there. So a suite of video features with SEO information, a clip editor. I'm going to show you all of this, but some of the other features, video chapter editing, so being able to actually add detailed names of chapters and that kind of thing, improving transcripts, being able to edit those, and then also being able to send those video transcripts to LinkedIn as well, so helps your kind of accessibility across LinkedIn as well. And I'm going to dive in and show you those in practice, because to be honest, it took me a little while to find where video is. So in HubSpot, the easiest way to access these editing tools, you could spend hours going up and down this navigation to find it. I will show you Remix in a moment, which has the option to do videos in there. But actually, if you go into the file manager and you find your video, so you've imported your video, if you actually just click on it, the UI is so much better for videos now in there. So previously it was just a file in a folder. Now this is where you would go to edit your video. So I've got a HubSpot product update from December. I'm just going to flick through these different tabs. So optimization, I can add a video title. I can do keywords. I could actually click to generate keywords where it will look at the video and do that automatically. Again, SEO description, chapters here. And again, great AI starting you from not having a blank page, but generating chapters here. We can wear away and look at that. I love using AI and then editing afterwards. So that's going to wear away there. Can then jump into performance. So if I've started actually publishing this, I can then see how it's performing. Going into captions, I could upload captions from other languages as well. Currently, I've got the English one in there. Details, so what campaign does this belong to? Is there a specific URL? And I've turned on those features, and then clips. So I will look at Remix to show you once again how to make a clip, but this shows you of this video how many clips I've created. So a product update is a really good example, because obviously we've got those specific dive-in on certain updates. So I've done a clip up of one of those, and I can actually then see that and edit that. And because that's then a clip, it actually opens up this whole feature in here. And I can look at the captioning, I can look at the branding on it, the template, and that kind of saves that specific clip in there as well. So lots of little bits and pieces you can do. And if we just go back into there, should have put my own, yes, it's generated those chapters now. So it's gone through my video, worked out chapters, which is brilliant. Sorry, Chris, do you want to say something?
No.
Somebody was coming to talk to me, and I was
yes, sorry, I
going,
caught my eye then. Yeah, so we've now got chapters in there, and then I can also edit the thumbnail. So at the moment, if I posted this anywhere, it would be a really boring thumbnail. So if I'm just going to edit this, change the frame, I can find a frame that looks better. So that one I'm happy with, and I can update it to that one. That's a really simple thing that a lot of people overlook when editing videos. So this is now looking much better, much more polished. And if I added a video title in there, it would be all ready. So that's kind of the editing side, which I find really exciting, because having to do that previously in Zoom, or this is making this marketing ready really quickly, which I like. And then if we just dive into Remix, so under content, if you've got Content Hub, you can go into Remix. And if we start remixing, to do video, you would add content, video, right? It was the file manager. I'm going to click the same update and add the content. So that's going to wear away in here. It's added it in. I can then click the plus here, and I could turn that video into anything, to be honest, from podcasts through to blog posts. But in the spirit of video updates, I'm going to click video clips. I can say, create me 3 clips. I could be specific, like short, snappy updates, something like that, and then generate them, and it's going to create me those clips. And then in my file manager, it will then show me all of those clips separate. So say you had done a big webinar and you actually then wanted to chunk that up and use it for promotion, this is a really quick way of doing it. So I can now click into this, see the 3 updates it's chosen, change a summary, and then I could also click and edit in the app. So I can go through to there and see exactly what the transcript is there for this clip and go from there. So really, really nice series of video updates. They're really making the video capabilities better and a bit more of a go-to.
They're all quite hidden, aren't they, though? It's something you've actually got to go delving for to find out about, and lots of people seem to be using other platforms. It's like, it's there.
Exactly. Like, this is brilliant. The other day I stumbled across the depth of detail for meetings. Like, that in itself is also amazing. Like, now you've got the meeting on a contact record, but if you actually click through, kind of like that, this editor, you see something a bit more like that now as well. And actually that's maybe worth going into another time, Chris, but having the detail of like the transcript that was discussed, the broader conversation with the company, like some of these things in HubSpot are really powerful, but they are hidden. So it's worth really digging in and seeing that. But yeah, if you're considering video, definitely worth having a play around or asking us for a bit of advice there. Last one, a nice couple for me. So first, Breeze Social Media Agent. I wanted to just show you this. So essentially, social media agent at the moment is allowing you to have AI suggestions in there. So I'm having to show this again with our real portal. But yeah, you can see suggested posts. So a few impactful posts to consider. I can flip through and look at these categories, which it automatically sets. So if you've got marketing events set up, it will look at those and create posts accordingly. I could choose educational content, so it's chosen HubSpot adoption as one. I could then review it, give feedback on whether it was good. It's telling you its rationale behind creating it. I think lots of these things are going to save marketers so much time. And if you really are a one-person marketing department, this is brilliant for helping you generate all that kind of stuff quickly. The other thing is you can create with AI. So up here, I can actually describe what I want to achieve. So I might put a link in and say, I want to promote this blog post. And then you can create that, and you can do an AI generated image or your own. So again, it's just taking out some of that legwork at the beginning. And the one thing I'd say is just always edit and always review. So it is yours. Just use AI as that assistant to help you get some done.
Okay, lovely.
Then I've only got one more I just want to talk through.
I mean, sales
Automatic email compression for improved deliverability. This one I think is something that I've been wanting for ages, to be honest. This has often taken up a lot of marketers' time. Maybe they've built an entire marketing email and then realized it's huge when you've done testing and that it cuts off half the email. What this is now doing, as you can see up here, it's estimating the size of the email and automatically compressing the emails that are created in this drag and drop. Maintains the visual quality but reduces their file size, all behind the scenes with no additional work. So something that's just going to help you without any extra work from you. So really worth flagging there. And I think the next one is yours, Chris. So I'm going to stop sharing.
I shall seamlessly, because obviously that's the word we're all using at the moment, I shall seamlessly change. Actually, that email compression thing, I think it's one of those sort of secretly powerful things, because so many times you'll see somebody creating this wonderful campaign and there's artists and designers, and then suddenly we find out that the email won't go through, and all of that's kind of wasted. I think I want to flag this, but is anyone in the chat pane if you want to, but is anyone actually using journey automation yet? I mean, it doesn't look like it, or we're not chat pane people. I'm not going to go too far into this because I think there's probably a whole separate webinar that we could do on demystifying journey automation. I think people tend to get a little bit, find it a little bit tricky. But they are now adding, if you're using journeys, additional wait until activity events in journey automation. And just as a quick look, the whole concept of a journey, it's not a workflow, it's an end-to-end process that people can follow. And all we're doing is saying that we can now add a wait until activity. And what we might say is that we've got a client, we've got a potential prospect that we're nurturing. We want them to take a series of actions, and then we want our sales team to book a meeting with them before we continue to send them marketing emails or sales documents. So I think it's something we'll go into in a little bit more depth. I don't know if you've gone too far into journey automation, Jem, but I think there's probably at least an hour on that one as opposed to going too far. This one, it's another, I think we overuse the phrase small but mighty, but for me, this is really powerful because you always used to create a list, and I'd often create the wrong type just because I was desperate to get in and start adding my filters. And then I'd have to delete it and start again. We can convert static lists to active lists, and that's quite nice. So yeah, look out for that one. On the subject of lists, lots and lots of lists. We also now have the ability to access your lists directly from the HubSpot mobile app. So if you're using the mobile app, then if you're on the train and you need to manage your list or something like that, then you can do that. let's go on to some Sales Hub updates. And this one, we're definitely going to demo because this is massive. We've now got the ability to customize our deal metrics. So one of the things you tend to see is that that people will say, well, total deal amount, open deal amount, these metrics are not right for my team. I can't report, I can't report back to management just at a glance. I need to do X, Y, and Z. And we can put all of that on a dashboard, but it's quite nice to be able to look at a view of the deal board with the right metrics on. So you'll see here, we've now got this new little toggle up here. Worth noting, the default view can't be modified, and I have actually fed back to HubSpot that I would quite like to be able to modify the default view because I want everything to be consistent. But to get at it, what we need to do is go into a bespoke view, and you'll see now I can click on this. Tell your sales directors, your sales managers about this, because look what we can do. We've got, so let's say we don't want to use total deal amount, or we want to change it. We want to use a different, so we actually want to report on annual contract value, and we might want an additional metric of the average size, the average contract, and we can then apply that. And you see now we've now got annual contract value, 3.05 million, average per deal, etc., etc. I think this is really huge. The fact that you can actually, it's all part of wrapping HubSpot around your business as opposed to kind of forcing your business into a HubSpot shaped hole. And this is a really, really nice update. Also worth noting that, and we'll be talking about this in weeks to come, that there have been quite a lot of changes to the things you can do from your deal board view, which is very nice as well.
I just think that cuts through a lot of noise, doesn't it, Chris? Like often the deal board can be quite overwhelming if you've got a lot of deals in there, especially if you've also got deal tags and other things going on. That's quite a lot. And actually to be able to just have that high level summary that everyone's kind of aligned around, really like that.
That's exactly it, isn't it? It's being aligned around the same numbers rather than everybody's looking at different ones. And so many businesses don't report, the overall deal value. We want to know what's going to fall off next year. So, and the really nice thing is that if you think outside the box a little bit and use your calculations, your equations, your properties, then you can build custom fields to represent almost any data on there. It's just a case of how do I think my way into getting that onto there, which is kind of the fun and difficult part. So deal metrics customization, it's a public beta, I think, at the moment, but do go and turn it on, have a play. Don't forget, if you're getting frustrated that it won't work, you need to create a custom view to make it work. We now have make verification optional for quote e-signatures. Quite hard to show this, but it's always been that if we're using HubSpot quotes, we send a quote and people have to do the e-sig, and that can be a problem because sometimes it's not mandatory. They'll just send a PO or whatever it happens to be. So we can now turn off the email verification, which tends to frustrate people. I don't know about everybody else, but I don't go and do that every time for everything. Nice feature, time saver, and that just makes it more likely people are going to sign your quotes, I think. Moving on to Service Hub. And it's this me. So this one, I actually couldn't find this update. I don't know where it is, but we've got this in the deal pipeline, so we can control edit access to certain stages. So basically what we're saying is we can do this with tickets and custom objects now. And we're saying that once a ticket goes to resolved, we can say that people can't edit it, and we can control that with permissions. And what that's doing is just, I suppose, stopping people from fiddling with the data. I know that some organizations people have got KPIs that can be fiddled, and they might go into a deal or a ticket or a custom object and tweak a data point. So if we're suspicious, then we can close that off. But it also means that our data's nice and clean. So
That's a good question.
Also a bit of an
That will
approvals
appear.
thing, isn't it, Chris? Like if there's a certain person that a stage has to be done by, like is there a stage finance have to approve, or is a stage the head of service has to approve, in which case they're the only one that can move a deal from that stage. That's kind of
Lock it down.
shoehorning the process. Yeah.
That's it's I think it's just all about allowing us again to kind of customize HubSpot to suit what we're trying to do. And ticket priority on the help desk summary tab. So help desk summary is actually really nice. I can go in here and I can see today's insights, so I can know exactly what's going on. I can see who's available, SLA progress, all of that sort of stuff. But down at the bottom, I've also got my today's tickets by priority, so I can actually sort of look down and work out where do I start, and where's the place where I should be focusing my efforts. And as Service Hub is actually getting really, really good now, I think it's something that probably 3 years ago I wouldn't have touched, but I think now, let's be bidding the Zendesks and all those other things, and definitely get rid of Jira, because that's just a personal gripe. If we go back to our updates, we also now have the ability to save unsent messages as drafts in our help desk. Again, this doesn't sound huge, but if you haven't been frustrated by writing out the same email 4 times and then going away doing something else, it's gone. And then, you're going to be thinking, let's save our drafts. I mean, you can also get around this problem by using snippets or some other
I think also, Chris, sometimes
areas.
it's worth writing an email, going for a walk, and coming back and sending it, because sometimes, especially if you're in a help
customer
desk
service,
situation, yeah,
when
sometimes
you've
you
had
just need a break.
And it is, because I think some people are rude and don't mean to be, and some people are rude and mean to be. So being able to be that calming oil on troubled waters person is really important in customer service. Again, a little one, the feedback submission object has been renamed to survey response. I'm surprised this didn't happen a long time ago, because I think survey response does what it says on the tin, whereas feedback submission just sounds a bit odd. So look out for survey responses in a HubSpot portal near you. And we're going to go back to Jen. So here you go.
I'm going to replace
Stop
that
share.
screen. Okay, we only have a few more. I'm sure you're all looking at the clock, ready to go to your next meeting. So quick ones. I'm actually not going to demo this because this is a good image to show you, but you can now customize your experience in the help desk views. So there's just a few more. These are betas, but basically they've introduced this spaces one, so you can actually organize your teams in help desk. Previously, everything was in one place. Can be a bit too much noise. So if you've got, say, a specific support desk versus a general inbox for clients, you could have them separate. And then also, what's happened? Views customization. So this is something that you can already do in other in other workspaces, in other views. You can now do it in help desk as well. So just choose exactly what you're viewing and let other people view them as well, customize the sidebar, all that kind of stuff. So help desk is just getting so much better. And like Chris said, service desk is like the development in service desk over the last 2 years is just incredible, really. And I did a webinar on this, so last week before, with one of the product managers at HubSpot. So that's definitely worth checking out over on our LinkedIn and our YouTube, I believe. So next one, customer agent. In workflows, in the chat flows, you can now choose to add customer agent in there and basically send them to customer agent from a chat, basically. So you can choose what is handled by customer agent, what is handled by humans. So that's a really nice little update to help your team to work on the important things. And again, that webinar, we spoke quite at length about AI versus humans and how to get that balance. Bringing your brand voice to customer agent. I can't stop going on about this. It's worth definitely having a look at, but in your settings, you've now got brand identity. Previously, you had brand kit, which Chris has monopolized in our test portal. I definitely know that was
My
Chris that put that
playground.
logo in there.
I put that.
But actually I can do this for a brand voice now. So this is basically how to get your AI to sound like you. You can add this information, and it also looks at, it's starting to develop this additional context section, which I know is being developed at the moment. But yeah, brand voice, you can change all of this. So if I click into here, I can update all this information. For inclusivity, you can tick to avoid certain things. Yeah, terms to avoid, that kind of thing. Game changing, which is one of my
I think
terms
Hannah
I
might
use
have been in here as
all
well,
the
man.
time. Yeah, brand voice definitely worth doing, and now applies to customer agent. And while I'm in here, versus just looking at the configuration of the customer agent. So customer agent's something everyone should really be exploring, because it's no longer just a service hub thing. If you have got what was Breeze intelligence credits, this is now HubSpot credits and can be used for customer agent as well. So basically, one of the things that we want to flag here is in the configuration, you can choose what triggers a handoff.
Yes.
So it's availability messaging. You can basically say how they explain the team's at capacity, the team's away, or a handoff's unavailable. But you can also set these triggers. So based on keywords, if someone says I'm angry or sad or human, or I would probably add such a shame, or like shame or something like that, because I often put into like passive aggressively, such a shame that I can't speak to a person right now. You
I
can
just type the word human repeatedly until they give me one.
yeah, and then you can just add these trigger words, which basically triggers that handoff. So that's definitely worth configuring. But have a play around with customer agent. Lots you can do in there. And yeah, you can also assign it to email as well. So basically helping to lighten the load on human agents. So being able to use knowledge base articles to respond to people as well. And then we just have a couple of updates on apps. Chris, if you want to just go through those.
I mean, you may as well keep sharing, because we can't
Yeah,
really
I will.
show this, but Google, we're
Google Chat updates.
basically report sharing and link previews in Google Chat. If you're using, your sort of your chat or your Slack or your Teams, it's the same sort of functionality, but it's just allowing you to push some of this stuff into your Google Chat, so you can share some of these things. Next slide. Google Meeting recordings and transcripts. There is something coming, which we will talk about soon, which is just amazing. But for now, having your Google Meet stuff coming into HubSpot in exactly the same way as you would with your Zoom or your Teams, it just means we've got more data, and especially now we've got all this AI running in the portal, the more of this unstructured data we've got, the more information, the more useful things we can do with it, the more we can extract better summaries, all of that sort of thing. So if you're using Google Meet, then you can now sync those with your CRM, with your HubSpot CRM. Next slide, please. Auto record. This is a toggle here, but basically we can now switch on so that it will automatically record the Google meetings rather than you having to press the button. Obviously, don't forget to tell people that they're being recorded in case they don't like it. But again, this gets rid of that human error step, so that the recording's always going to be in the system, because I don't know about you, but it's quite frustrating when you're looking for a recording that someone should have put somewhere and they forgot to press record. So let's turn all these things on. What's next?
I think it's me next. But yeah, this one, I think a lot of people are using this for Zoom or Teams already, but it's just really nice that they've added Google Meet into there as well. I think I'm seeing lots of teams using Google Meet, which is something we used years ago and moved off because it's quite basic, and now it's coming back in a different kind of form, and I'm liking that HubSpot are linking to that. Last two, HubSpot payments now available in the UK as well. It was in the US a lot before, but basically you can enroll in this from the app marketplace. So if you want to start playing around with payments and looking at that, yeah, take a look. And this basically just allows you to see whether HubSpot payments could work for you. So it's worth exploring the app marketplace to see that. And the last one, if you are using Salesforce Sync, this is quite an exciting one, that you can now sync new object associations for ticket tasks and custom objects. So previously that was set to contacts companies, and it was quite limited, but now you have much more flexibility around the other types of things you can sync. The last thing to just mention before you dive off, we have got a AI-powered growth guide. I'm going to drop the link to this into the chat.
Really good. Please download it, because otherwise we get beaten if we don't get downloads from this this webinar today.
You're going to get told off for that, Chris. No, we're not getting beaten for it, but definitely download it. Something that a lot of work's gone into this from the VableQuest team. So I'm just dropping it in now. But yeah, take a look. Just gives you an idea of how to get started with strategically adopting HubSpot's AI tools. Gives you a bit of a 90-day roadmap to doing so. I know a lot of businesses are struggling with how to start. So now that there's so much in HubSpot, it really is the time to get started. So yeah, definitely take a look at that. And hope you can ask us anything in 1 minute. I'm just going to pop a poll up as well. I'm going to save this and launch it. Please let us know how you found this, and invite other colleagues to join this. We are trying to grow this a lot. We're trying to get feedback on what we can do better. So yeah, do let us know, and we'll look forward
especially
to
things like quantity of updates. Too many, not enough. We want to get into more depth. We've been trying to work in much more demos and use cases of late.
Yeah.
So do let us know what you think.
Yeah, we really will take on any feedback, because we want to make sure that this is useful for everyone. So yeah, before you drop off, just drop an answer in there. But otherwise, we'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone.